right, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Getting Started with Timesheets by Tempo. So today we'll be talking about getting timesheets up and running for your organization, so you can start tracking time and gaining insight right away. So let's get started. All right, so my name is Connor, and I'm a learning and onboarding specialist here at Tempo. So part of my role is ensuring that customers like you gain value from these learning sessions. So I'm looking forward to all feedback and suggestions. Sharing the mic with me today a little bit is Edna, who we will hear from soon to talk through some setup and a common timesheets workflow. We also have product manager Catherine here, who's going to help answer some questions in the background. And then we also have Susan with us today, who will also be diligently answering your questions throughout the webinar. All right, so here's what the agenda looks like today. So we're going to start with a quick overview of timesheets, especially beneficial for those new users in the crowd. Then we'll get into our first demo, so setting up timesheets. After that, we'll have another demo, tracking time to know where it goes, so tracking time for productivity and efficiency. Our third demo will be on billing workflows. Then we'll end the presentation portion of the webinar by highlighting some integrations Timesheets has with other Tempo apps. And then, of course, some allotted Q&A time at the end. Okay, so let's get into it. So Timesheets by Tempo enables organizations to understand how their time and money is being spent. Just some quick highlights of timesheets here. So it's perfect for project teams who want to gain insights with automated time tracking powered by AI, by artificial intelligence. And timesheets can produce reliable data for reporting, invoicing, and accounting, okay? And it integrates with numerous applications on the Atlassian Marketplace, which allows you to fit it into your existing set of tools. Okay, so it's no surprise for this reason and for many others, Timesheets is the #1 time tracking app for Jira on the Atlassian Marketplace. Okay, and though this webinar may be dedicated to timesheets, or is dedicated to timesheets, I should say, it's important for you all to know that Tempo is a lot more than just timesheets. Okay, so Tempo is dedicated to delivering industry-leading strategic portfolio management, or SPM, solutions that go far beyond single products. By creating seamless integrations combining the power of our impressive suite of products, Tempo is empowering you to navigate the complexities of strategic portfolio management. We'll actually close out our presentation today by highlighting some ways that you can do more with your time data by integrating timesheets with other Tempo apps. And then a little bit on Tempo as a solution before we get into our first demo here today, okay? So Timesheets allows you to easily collect and report on time tracking data in a way that ensures your resources are streamlined to achieve your business goals. Okay, so this is about resource alignment. When it comes to revenue opportunities, Timesheets allows you to categorize types of log time to eliminate inaccurate tracking of financial data that can lead to missed revenue, and of course, project management. So as the most extensible solution in the market, Timesheets future-proofs your options to grow as part of a larger line of strategic portfolio management products and enterprise solutions. So the way you set up timesheets will have a huge impact on how your organization can start using timesheets and gaining value from it right away. In the following demo, Edna is going to show you the main things you'll want to cross off your list before opening up timesheets to the rest of your organization, such as giving access to Timesheets by Tempo, granting Tempo permissions, creating workload and holiday schemes, configuring internal issues, as well as setting up timesheet reporting and approval periods, okay? And just a quick reminder, what we're showing you today is all in Timesheets on cloud.
Hi everyone, this is Edna from the Product Enablement team here at Tempo. In this demo, I'm going to show you how to get timesheets set up for your organization. And these are really the basic things that should be set up before everyone starts using timesheets. So first, let's start off in the Atlassian Marketplace. And I'm going to go to the hosting type and select cloud. So right off the bat, you see Timesheets is at the top because it's in the spotlight right now, which is great. But if it's not there for some reason, you can always search by Tempo, and then you see it here. And you also see all of Tempo's other products and a few add-ons that work with Tempo. So that's also kind of great if you want to check those out later. To get installed, click that tile and basically select try it for free. Now at this point you have to be a Jira administrator to install timesheets on your Jira site. So you'd select the site that you want to install it on and then you would get going with that. So I already have it installed on my system obviously because I'm running my test instance, but after you install it you will get to this setup page. And this is where everything happens for setting it up. And of course, like I said, you need to be a Jira admin to be at this point. So the first thing that you need to do is to make sure that everyone has access to timesheets. And I'm just going to go permission overview here. And these are set with global permissions. So you can get to global permissions from the Jira system command as well. But if not, if you're in Tempo, this is a fast way to get there. So I'm just going to click here to actually go right to the Jira Global settings. So when you install timesheets, there are several of Tempo's own permissions that get added to this page. And the one that you want is called Tempo Timesheets Access. So you need to make sure that all the people who you want to be using timesheets are in one of these user groups or create a new one and add it. By default, the Jira Software Users Group is given access, and this is probably going to be enough for most organizations, but if not, if you've changed the default user group membership, you may want to go back and check that the right people have access here. So everything is controlled with Jira user groups at the global permission. So while you're here, there are some other global permissions that you should grant to key people to help administer Tempo for your company. And one of them is the Tempo Administrator permission. So this is the main role that is used to configure and manage timesheets for your organization. So you want to make sure like maybe somebody in IT and maybe a high-level manager who knows how timesheets is to be used in your company should be given access. For example, I have my Lunar Tempo admins user group set up here with just a few people in it. You could also give somebody different, the Tempo account administrator permission or the Tempo team administrator permission. So as a Jira admin, you do have all three of those permissions, the Jira administrators group, but you can make separate user groups for those and then make sure that the right people have these permissions. Another type of permission that's important, and those are project permissions. And these are the ones that Timesheets uses for each project. So these are kind of like the standard ones that Jira already has, but Tempo also installs these ones when you install timesheets. Let's go to manage them. Click here. And as you know, these are done by permission schemes in Jira. So I'm just going to go to the default permission scheme. And I see all the standard ones here. Browse projects is important, of course. But I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. And under the time tracking permissions, these are the ones that Timesheets uses to work with all the time data. And like I said, these are the important ones. Work on issues is especially important because that lets the team members log their time to the issues in this project. So keep an eye on these and check them out if you need to assign these specifically. Permissions are the key for your employees to really have a good experience with Tempo, so always make sure that the users are in the correct groups or project roles so that they have the right permissions that they need. Let's go back to Tempo here. Let's move on to some staff settings that the Tempo admin can do, and that's the workload and holiday schemes. So the combination of these two tells you how many hours each employee is required to work. So the holidays are subtracted from the required working days from the workload scheme, and then the resulting number of days is the working capacity for each employee. So let's first go into workload scheme. And here we have the Tempo default workload scheme, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, which is a typical 40-hour week for a lot of companies or countries. It's set as default, but if you want, you can edit it, like say maybe 7 hours a day, or you can create a new workload scheme, set it up with the hours that you want here, and then make that the default, or even create extra different types of workload schemes, like for part-time or contract work here. So the important thing is that you assign the right members to it. So to assign the members, I click membership there, and it gives me the filter. I can remove that filter if I want to search or add more people. And say I want to change Beverly here. I can just change her workload scheme to, like, say she's part-time now, and then move her to a new scheme. And you can do that with multiple people too, like say select all these people and then choose to move them to a different workload scheme. And again, I'll put them as part-time. So that's a way to handle managing your staff workload schemes in a large number at a time. And as you see, there's also holiday schemes here. And you assign them the same way that you do the workload schemes. But if you want to create them, you go to this page. So these schemes define the public holidays for each geography or office location. If you have multiple offices in your organization, you need to create a separate one for each country and then configure them. So if I configure there, you see the fixed days are the ones that stay the same every year, but the floating days you need to add here. They are on different days every year, and that's why you need to create a new holiday scheme for every country or location every year. So let's go back here. One thing to note is that holiday schemes are not meant for vacation days or personal time off, and that will be done with internal issues, which I will show you next. So if we scroll up here and we go to internal issues. And these are also configured by the Tempo admin. So what are internal issues? So these are just JIRA issues that let employees log their time to events that are not about project-related work. So things like travel, sick time, vacation, anything that you would not consider work. So these issues can be in any JIRA project, but it's best practice to create a separate JIRA project like I have here. So here I've got all my issues listed. Notice they're not assigned to anybody and they're never closed. So to configure them, you go back to Tempo here and search for an issue here. I'm just going to make up something here, and then you click Add, and then that's added to the list. So now anything that's set up as configured, it will be easily available for logging time in a special panel that Connor will show you in his demo. But an important thing to know is that when you configure issues as internal here, they are prevented from being used for billable time because these issues are not usually for work that is billable. So that can really help you out when you're tracking billable hours, and I'll get into that a little bit more in my demo later on. And I'm going to delete that because I don't want it to be an internal issue anymore. So one more thing to set up are the timesheet reporting periods down here, and also optionally timesheet approvals. Timesheet approvals give you more control over how log time is managed because it's reviewed and approved by a manager or a team lead. And very importantly, this will give you more accurate data in your log time reports later on. So to make all of this work, the monthly reporting period first needs to be set up by the Tempo admin. And whether you use approvals or not, this is required for accounting for things like billing or payroll. So you can start it on either December or January, and then you choose the ending date for the period. So, for example, here at Tempo, we end on the 19th so that our accounting team can do payroll and billing. So it gives them a little bit of time before the end of the month. But it's good to match this with the financial period of your own organization. And for the approvals, we'll go down here. You can set the cadence of how often you want timesheets to be approved, that whole process. Monthly is often enough for a lot of companies since there's a little bit of overhead required with having people submit their timesheets and then get them approved. but you can also choose weekly if you need it to be done frequently. There are other options like the scheduler that lets you send out email reminders to people, so to all users to finish filling out their timesheets, and also for late users after the end date. You can set the reminders to be weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, whatever works for you. This is very customizable, so you need to check on what you want to do at your organization. So once all the timesheets are submitted and approved, the accounting team can close the period so that no more changes can be made. So they can literally click closed for all that, and they can keep some open for approvers, like say they're still waiting for the last timesheets to come in. They can leave it open for only for people to approve it, but not anybody else. So once timesheet period's closed, then accounting can do their payroll magic or create invoices for clients. So those are the basic things that you need to do to set up timesheets so that your organization starts off on the right foot. As you see in the settings, there's a few more things that you can check out and maybe you want to set up, but these are pretty much the most important ones to get set up before people really start using timesheets.
All right, so great. So now that we have all that great setup information, we're going to move on to another demo. So this one is where'd all the time go? Tracking for productivity and efficiency. Okay. So this workflow will touch on a few more essential elements of timesheets, such as tempo teams, so setting up your team for success, and timesheet approvals. And there will also be some best practices. So there will be talk about automated time tracking, personalizing your My Work, and this is all to save time when logging time, okay? And then generating insights. So in this example, we will have a look at logged time reports. Okay, so we're actually going to start right in Jira. So up here on the navigation bar, there's apps. So I'm going to find Tempo and then click on it to get right into timesheets. We're going to go to the proper week. So here I am automatically in My Work. So this is where your timesheet is, so where users log their time. So to show this workflow, we're going to talk about Tempo teams. The team we'll be talking about today is a team that does consulting work for a couple different lunar, geological, and helium-3 energy projects. The team is called Scientific Consulting. So let's navigate over to the left sidebar here and find the Teams icon and click on it. So this will show a list of teams that have been created on your Tempo instance. You can create Tempo teams for whatever you need. So for example, we have teams per department and also project-based teams. So as I mentioned, we're going to go into the scientific consulting team. So I'm going to scroll down and click on that. So Catherine Evans, the profile I am in this test instance, is the team lead of this team. So I will be able to show you what things look like from the team lead perspective. So here we can see some general information and of course the members of the team. So this is the overview page. On the top right here, we can see that we can also go into timesheet, approvals, and permissions. Right now, let's check out permissions. So by default, there's a team lead permission role that gives team leads all the permissions they need to manage their team's timesheet. So as I said, Catherine is the team lead for this team. Team members don't have any permissions by default, usually for privacy reasons, like you probably don't want team members to see each other's work logs. For each team, you can also have your own custom permission roles to give other people whatever permissions you want them to have for only that team, like having a permission role for a backup team lead who can approve timesheets, for example. These ghosted roles also affect this team, but they're set at a global level in the settings. So why use Tempo teams? Having employees in smaller groups makes it easier to manage their time and work logs. So let's see now how team members actually log time. So even though I'm in a profile of a team lead in this scenario, I have to log time too. So we'll go back to My Work now, go to the proper dates. So again, here we are in My Work. Let's have a quick look at the different views that we can be in here. So right now we're in the calendar view, but if we go to the top right here, we can also go to the list view and also to the timesheet view. So all these views have benefits of their own. I encourage you to take a peek at all of them. For this demo, we're going to hang out in the calendar view. So you may notice up here, there is a button that says log all activities. Depending on your setup, this can be a super quick and effective way to log your time. I'll come back to this in a little bit. First, we're going to talk about logging time manually. So let's log some time. Logging time requires two things: an issue or task that you're working on to log your time against, and a duration of time with a beginning and end. So let's log time right now to the time zone that I am in for this webinar. So that's 12 p.m. on Tuesday. So we'll log time to an issue here. I know that I want to log time to this, explore geological surface of the dark side. So I can click on that and click log time. Very easy. Now I also know the issue key for this issue is GEO1. So if I wanted to, instead of actually typing in the name of the issue, I could have just started doing that, GEO1, and that would log that issue as well. So I can also head over here to the issue picker over here on the right, and I can configure this to my own personal taste or way of work. So I can really personalize this for the way that I want to work, and I'm going to show you that now. So you can search issues here. Once again, I'll use the issue key since I know it. If I wanted to, I could just drag that right over here. So I can also look well, it depends how I have my issue picker set up, but there's a bunch of different categories of issues here. So there are some for projects, some favorited issues. If I click these three dots, I can look at internal issues. What else do we have here? We have, some recent issues, as I mentioned, issues that are assigned to you, issues that you are watching. So you can look at all these and set it up however you want to. To do that, for example, if I wanted to see the issues that I'm assigned to in my top 3 here, I could click this gear icon, right? And I mentioned assigned issues. I could put that up. So no longer will favorite issues be in the top 3, but assigned issues will. So I could click on them right there, and they'll be right there for me. So really, you can personalize the issue picker to see what you want to see. So let's go to log time again. When I go to log time, there are actually some tasks that show up on the top with a lightning bolt left to it. So just really quickly, let me get rid of that, and let's go to log time again. So here's what I'm talking about. So you see these suggestions powered by predictive algorithms with the lightning bolt on the left here. So this is a big deal. These suggestions help users log their time up to 50% faster. And the more users use Timesheets, actually the better these suggestions get. And Timesheets was the first time tracking app in the Atlassian marketplace to leverage artificial intelligence in this way. So very cool. But like I said, I know that for this time period, I'm actually logging time to GEO1, so I'll just do that again. So as I mentioned, there are some other things popping up on this timesheet right now. So these are automated suggestions. So you'll see here there's some from Google Calendar, like this, for example. Now we use Google Calendar as a company, so that's why these are popping up. If you use Outlook or an Office 365 calendar, you can integrate this as well. If you go up to this toggle up here, you can click on that. Now, like I said, we don't have any Office 365 events, so they don't show up on our timesheet, but if you did as a company, they would. And if for any reason that's not integrated, you can actually go to this gear icon here, click on settings, click here, it's super quick, and make sure that Office 365 calendar is integrated. But I'll go back out of that. And of course, there's also an integration with Jira. So Jira suggestions are here on this timesheet as well. There's actually not any for this week, but if I go back a week, I know there is. Yep, here it is right there. So once again, if I wanted to not have those pop up for any reason, I could click that check mark. So see how it pops up again here when I click the check mark, but we'll go back to the proper date. And we also have an integration for VS Code and JetBrains. So it's not applicable to this profile, but it would be very applicable to the developers in the audience or those of you with developers on your teams. Okay, so I can log time to any of these suggestions simply by clicking log time. So for example here, company meeting, if I click log time, that's going to log it just like that. Now you're going to see here that some suggestions here actually have an exclamation warning. Okay, so this is because it's lacking an issue key. So all you need to do here is provide the issue key, and this activity can be logged. So if I click on that, I know actually it was the meeting with NASA lunar mining experts that we're using to log time for that task. So let's click on that, log time, and bam, it is logged. Okay, so now that you've seen this, I'm hoping you see that logging all activities, this button that I mentioned a couple minutes ago, can be a great way to quickly log your time, but it does depend on setting your My Work up to fit your own needs, okay? So if I do that now, click log all activities, it's going to log these activities for me. This one is going to be reviewed actually. So this was lunch with the consultants again on Thursday. If I click confirm, that's going to be logged, right? So since I logged it to this issue key on Tuesday, it knew to do it for Thursday as well. So by clicking log activities, it logged all activities for the week. So very quick way to do that.
If your organization has decided to implement timesheet approvals, team members will need to submit their timesheets at the end of the period.
Now, Edna already showed the reporting period, so I'm going to go straight into submitting and approving timesheets. So remember, Catherine both submits a timesheet to her manager as well as approves the timesheets of the scientific consulting team, since she's their team lead. So let's see about submitting a timesheet first. So I can submit Catherine's timesheet by going up to the current period and clicking submit, okay? So if this period was to be over, I could just click submit here, and then her manager will be able to approve or reject that timesheet, once it's submitted. But now let's see the team lead perspective. So we're going to go back to the Teams tab over here. Okay, and we'll go back to scientific consulting. Here we are. And we're going to go up to approvals on the top right. And like I just mentioned, this time period is not over yet. So let's go to the last one, which is over. Okay. So here we can see the timesheets that have been submitted or not. So for example, Eric already approved, Eric already submitted and Catherine approved this timesheet. Lars and Vivian still need to submit their timesheet. And then Erica had submitted it and is waiting for approval. And like I said, I can approve, I can reject if I needed to. If Erica needed to fix something, I could provide them a grace period, etc. Okay, so to end this workflow, let's see about gaining some insights by creating a logged time report. Okay, so this is where we can see our team's data all packaged together. In other words, this is where the data to make better decisions for your company to improve productivity and efficiency lives. So we're going to navigate to the reports tab here on the left. Okay, so it's right here. Click on that. And then we're going to click to create a logged time report. So logged time reports gets data on time spent by teams, total time spent on a project, whatever they need to find out where the time goes. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. So Catherine wants to know what her team has done for the month of March. So we can filter by team. Okay, so I'm going to go down, filter by team, and look up scientific consulting. Bam, there it is. So there we go. Okay, and we'll also start off filtering grouping by user and project, and let's click create. And since we want to see a report for March, we're going to make sure that we are in the period for March. There we are. So here we can see some useful data. We can see how much time was spent by the scientific consulting team here on all projects. It just so happens that other than Catherine, her team all worked on the lunar geology project the whole month of March. But let's make it even more specific by grouping by issue. So I'm going to go up here and click group by, and let's type in issue, and click apply. Okay, so it gets a little bit more granular here. Okay, so now we can see exactly which issues Catherine and her team has logged time to. We can also add a couple columns here that are quite useful. Required and utilization. So we're going to do this by going up here, checking required, checking utilization. There we go. Okay, so required hours are the number of hours users need to work in the time period. Okay, utilization is how much time was actually logged in that time period. So for this team, it's looking pretty good, though it looks like Catherine has some catching up to do. Now, there are many other filters to use for reports, such as filtering by JQL, if I wanted to. Okay, so that's a pretty popular one. But we'll keep this as is for now. Just wanted to show you that really quickly. So just before I go to share this report, I'll also show you that you can change this from, well, it's in weeks right now, but you can also go by days. Okay, make it even more granular again. Like I said, when we started, we were in weeks. We can do months, okay? And you can even do quarters if you wanted to. But like I said, we'll go very granular and do it by days. There we go. Now, always make sure to name and save your report. So I'm going to go up here, click on save, and we're going to do it by Team Scientific Consulting, and I'm doing this for March 2024. Okay, so I'm going to save this report like that. All right, so I can quickly look at this title and know how the report is filtered. Okay, so make sure to click that save button so you don't lose your progress. Okay, so a major reason for making reports is sharing them. You can click the share button on the top right to share your report. All right, but note that these people need to have the same permissions as you to see that shared report. Okay, now sometimes that is not the case. So you can also export your report. Once exported as an XLS or CSV file, for example, you can send it to anyone who may need to see it. That is, so anyone who doesn't have the same timesheets permissions as you. Okay, great. So we've been through setup, we've been through a productivity and efficiency workflow. So now we're going to find out where's all the money going. So tracking for financial reasons. Okay, so one of the main reasons really to use timesheets is to track time for financial reasons. Tracking time spent on capital expenditures or CapEx helps science and technology companies claim tax credits from the government. So for research and development work that they do, the government's rules require that time tracking software is used to accurately record the number of hours worked. So this is where timesheets comes in. You can use Tempo accounts to accurately categorize the CapEx work to get these tax credits. And then billing. So billing is a common task if you are in professional services and other types of organizations that may have certain departments or individuals who do billable work. Timesheets can help you track, organize, and report on the time logged to billable work. And from this data, you can create an invoice for your client. Okay, so there are two billing workflows that are possible in timesheets, and Edna is going to cover those in the following demo.
So in this demo, I'm going to give you an overview of the two billing workflows that are possible in timesheets, a simple JIRA project-based workflow that uses the billable hours field, and then a more complex multi-project workflow that uses billable and non-billable Tempo accounts. So here we are in timesheets, and I'm going to start by showing you the simpler method of tracking billable hours. First off, there's an important fact about timesheets that will help you understand how billing works. And I'm going to open up a log time form and select an issue. And the important fact is this. So by default, all hours that you log, say here for example in the duration field, are also set as the same billable hours under the hood. And you won't notice that unless you're using the billable hours field. So this means that the number of hours that you enter here will always match the number of hours here unless you change those billable hours, say 6 hours for example. And this is where the billable hours field comes in. So I'm going to show you how to set this up. I'll just cancel that. So in our example, I'm going to go to the Teams tab. We'll look at Apollo Environment Management Team, and they work at the Apollo Consulting Group, and they're doing a contract for a sustainability assessment for their client, Lunar Industries. So in this case, all of the issues that they're tracking for this contract are in this one JIRA project called Lunar Sustain. So let's open that up. And this is the key to the billable hours workflow, is to set the billable hours permission. And this is a project permission. So I'm going to go down to project settings and then go to permissions. And as you might remember, I showed you the project permissions from earlier. They are in the time tracking permissions way at the bottom here that you set for timesheets. So this is the one that matters. It's the set billable hours permission. And this is what makes the billable hours field appear in the log time form, but only for those who are granted this permission. So for example, here I've got a project role with all of my consultants in it. They have the set billable hours permission. So let's go back to project, and I'm going to open this up. So all they need to do is to log time. And as you see, to log time from a JIRA issue, it's very simple. You just have to click this to show this panel, and then click log time. So as I showed you before, all they have to do is set the hours that they worked, say 8, but then they might want to have different billable hours. Sometimes it matches, sometimes it doesn't. So I'll put, say, 4 hours. So you might ask, why are they not the same? Well, in some cases, maybe you've been doing some administrative work, but you don't want to charge the client for it. Or maybe you're reaching the limit of time that you can actually bill for your client, and you want to keep the hours to a minimal. So whatever the reason, you can change the billable hours there, and that is pretty much it. So that's all your team members really have to do, is to log their time and make sure that the billable hours is correct. So let's say that the project is moving along. Let's go back to Tempo here. And the project manager wants to run a report. Every month, for example, a project manager could run the log time report. And I'll open up this Lunar Sustain report that I've set up. So this is filtered by the project that we're working on, for example, this one. As you see, I think Connor already showed you how to filter by teams, and there's a lot of different filters you can choose, including JQL filters, which are really useful if you have those set up. It's also grouped by the user and issue, and I could add more grouping options here. For example, sometimes they're grouped by, tempo fields, JIRA fields, and custom fields. For example, some clients want to see down to the work log, so you could add that here as well. I won't do that right now, but that is also another possibility. So the logged hours are displayed here by default, and you see the total here of all of that. So this is all of the hours that have been logged to this contract for this month. So to see the billable hours, I need to go to this menu and check off billable. So now you see that these are all the billable hours and that they don't match the logged hours. So as I showed you before, it may have been that they were on a budget of certain amount of hours that they could bill, or maybe there was like administrative work that they didn't want to bill for. So that's why these two can be a little bit different. But this billable hours is the one that you care about, and that's what you want to show your client. So you could even turn off the logged hours and show only billable hours to the client, and then send them the invoice, as you wish. So because this report is the base for an invoice, project manager can share it with the finance team, for example. Say, just select somebody from there. That's all you need to do to share it. They need to have the same permissions though, so that they can see all of the team's data. So sometimes it's easier to just export it, like say as an Excel spreadsheet, to the finance team. And then they can use that data in their accounting software to create the invoice to send to the client. And then the client pays you, which is kind of great. So that is the billable hours workflow. It's pretty simple. Grant the set billable hours permission. Make sure to log the correct number of billable hours when you log your time. And then you create the report with the billable hours displayed. So what if you have multiple JIRA projects and even multiple teams working on a contract, and maybe you even have multiple contracts with the same client? So if that's the case, then Tempo accounts are your friend. So accounts are like a high-level organizer for categorizing all the time that's logged, and you categorize it using these 4 preset types, including billable. So if I select that, for example, you'll see these are the accounts that are categorized as billable. So I'm just going to clear that. So I'm going to show you another example, and this is a team called the Scientific Consulting Team. So this is a team within Lunar Industries that actually bills their work, and that is the case for some organizations. So they're going to be using Tempo accounts to track their billable and non-billable work. So let's go back to accounts. One thing that's useful with accounts is that you can create a customer profile and then link accounts to it. So here it's easy to just create a customer, add their name and a key that you want, as you have here. And in our case, we have our Greenergy customer, and here's the accounts that are linked to them. So for the accounts themselves, it's actually good to start with the account categories, and those are done in the settings. And we'll go all the way down here to account categories. And these are created by somebody with Tempo account admin permissions. And these categories let you group multiple accounts of the same type together. And this is where you decide the category type for the account. So in our case, here's the 2 categories that we're using, is the consulting category, which is for billable work, and the pre-sales category, which is for operational work. And these are both going to be related to the contract that we're working on. So let's go back to the accounts page. And these are the 2 accounts that we're using here. This is the billable one, and this is the operational one. So each Tempo account needs to be linked to 1 or more JIRA projects and the issues that are related to that contract. So let's open up the billable account to see where you link these projects. So you can have them right here. You just click Add Project to Link and then select your JIRA project. So let's open up the energy project here and one of the issues. So you can see here the Tempo account custom field, which has been set up previously by our JIRA admin, can show you which of the 2 accounts that happen to be linked to this JIRA project. So in this case, we're using the billable account because all of the work and on this issue is going to be done for the billable account. So once you have the account set up for the issue, all you need to do is team members can log their time, and I've added the Tempo panel here. They just have to click log time and enter their hours, let's say 8 hours, log time, and then that's it. The account itself determines how that time is categorized. So I'm just going to close that. So the contract is moving along and everyone's logging their time to the correct account. So each month, for example, our project manager can run a report. So I'll go back to the Reports tab here and open the Greenergy accounts. So here you see I have filtered it now by the customer and selected Greenergy as a customer. So these are the 2 accounts that time has been logged to in this time period. And I have it grouped by the account, project, and issues. So you see which account time is logged to. So this is our billable account, this is our operational account. So right away I get a nice total of 138 hours are billable, and 74 hours are considered operational, non-billable, but they're still related to this client for this contract. So that's really great information, say, for our accounting, and maybe the client wants to see the non-billable time too, but sometimes you just want to have only the billable hours that are related to the contract. So I can run another report here, and this time it's still filtered by the customer, but it's also filtered by the category type, which is billable in this case. So we don't have the account listed here because it's only the single billable account that we have, but we do have the project, and we see all of the issues and the users who have been logging their time to this project. And as you've noticed, we've added the work log as a way of grouping because clients sometimes want to see this. So we're going to leave that there. It gives them the details that they want. But unlike the billable hours method, we don't need to show the billable column. In fact, that can sometimes cause confusion if they don't match what's logged. So let's close that. So again, the manager can share the report or export it, and the accounting team can bring it into their accounting software, and then they can create invoices. But just remember that all of this time is billable. You don't need the billable hours field to show that because it's been logged to their billable account. So that's a quick overview of the two workflows in timesheets that you can use for tracking billable time, using either the billable hours field or using billable accounts.
Okay, great. So quickly, let's talk about Timesheets integrations with other Tempo apps. So I hinted at this a little bit earlier. Let's get a little bit more into it. So as mentioned before, Tempo is a lot more than just Timesheets. So generally speaking, Tempo's suite of tools, four we're going to talk about quickly here are Cost Tracker, Planner, Structure, and Custom Charts. Provide businesses with a comprehensive solution for optimizing program management, maximizing profitability, and achieving better results. So these real-time collaborative tools offer customizable reporting, flexible program management, and comprehensive insights to manage programs of any size and complexity. Let's get a little bit more specific now, though. So when it comes to timesheets and Planner, you can do more with your time data to gain valuable insights into how work is being done and get ahead of how you want time being spent, okay? So Planner is a capacity planning, allocation, and visualization tool, which provides clear overviews of your staff's availability and plans in real time. This helps decision makers make better planning decisions. Planner is a great partner with timesheets. So once time is planned, it can easily be logged, and you can compare planned versus actual time on or spent in a single report. Using timesheets with Cost Tracker gives you the ability to translate timesheets data to track the financial health of projects. The financial metrics Cost Tracker provides give accurate real-time overviews of project and portfolio costs, revenues, and budgets. And then a couple more here. So using timesheets with Structure offers robust project management with time and execution reporting capabilities. So Timesheets allows users to track time, while Structure provides a hierarchical view of projects directly in Jira. With this integration, you can take that time data, including billable hours, to Structure to visualize, track, and manage progress and time data across your Jira projects and teams. And lastly, custom charts. So timesheets and custom charts for Jira and Confluence work together to unlock unparalleled insights. You can dive deep into unified interactive reports that blend timesheet metrics with critical Jira data. This also enhances team productivity with streamlined workflows and centralized collaboration, ensuring every decision is data-driven, transparent, and aligned with your organizational goals. Ultimately, integrating timesheets and custom charts transforms how you visualize and utilize time, ensuring you can make every moment count. Okay, so as I mentioned, there are lots of questions being asked and answered. First things first, we've been asked a couple times. So this webinar, yes, it is being recorded. So those of you who didn't catch that at the start or came on a little bit late, no worries. It is being recorded. You will get a post-webinar email with the recording, as well as this slide deck with a whole bunch of resources, which I will mention, or which I will show you just as we're closing out the webinar, okay? And yeah, so there's many questions that have been answered. There are some that are still coming in. One theme I'm seeing, so there's been a few questions about calendars, okay? So, or let's put it this way. So someone asked about if we want to log a repetitive event, what might be the best way to do that? So for example, a recurring meeting that happens every week. So you can add those events to your calendar, making sure to include the issue key in the calendar event and also integrating your calendar with timesheets, okay? So that can be your Google Calendar, that can be your Office 365 calendar, okay? So then if it's integrated, you will be able to see those suggestions easily on your timesheet and log them faster, okay? And that calendar integration is a one-way integration from the calendar to timesheets, all right? Tempo doesn't send the data back to the calendars. Someone else asked, is it possible to log time without tagging any issue? Meaning, can I add a manual entry? So again, in order to log time, you need a duration of time spent on a task and then an issue key to represent that task. Okay, so we encourage you to create internal issues for time spent on non-project related tasks. Okay, here's a good one. So our organization has international teams which are based in different countries. How can I set up different holiday schemes in bulk for different groups of people? So you would need to create a separate holiday scheme for each country, and then in the manage staff page, Edna showed you that earlier on in the webinar. You can select multiple employees at once and then assign them to that current holiday scheme. So these schemes don't work with Jira user groups though. So hopefully that answers that question. And I know that there was another one I saw as well. Okay, is it best practice to allow all users who are logging time in Tempo to have the permission to set billable hours, or should that be isolated to a specific type of user, i.e. a team lead? So it would depend on your business case. If all Tempo users need to log billable hours and billable hours are most likely different than worked hours, then it's good to grant this permission to all users. But if you have dev teams who don't need to enter billable hours, then it's best to not grant that permission on the research and development projects. We're going to round things off. So I'm going to go back to the slide deck and very quickly chat through a little bit about what you can expect next. So in our help center, we have plenty of articles to help you get started with timesheets. On our YouTube channel, there's plenty of videos as well to help you get started. If you're wondering, sorry, about timesheets and AI, you can check out this blog post here. So as I mentioned, this slide deck will be shared with you. If you're interested, consider signing up for Tempo Lab. Okay, so get an early look at new products and key features and functionality, as well as the opportunity to provide critical insight and help shape the future of Tempo's product delivery. Similarly, or somewhat similarly, another way you can be involved in what gets built at Tempo is the idea portal. So you can create your own idea as well as vote for already created ideas. And lastly, the Tempo events page. So there are going to be more webinars like this, of course. In fact, we have a webinar planned for late May, all about getting started with structure. Okay, so that's Tempo's flexible project and program management tool. So make sure to keep an eye on the events page, and hopefully we'll see you at that webinar. Okay, so that brings us to the end. So thank you so much again for your attendance and participation. We hope to see you again soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.